right. Welcome to the Snide Report podcast. I am your host, Gary Snyder. Before we get to our guests, maybe right there and maybe right there.
No.
I need to let you know and thank our sponsors. Robin Winston does a great job of supporting both the newsletter, which goes out to over 100,000. Yes, I said 100,000 subscribers daily. And also Jill Long Thompson, former Congresswoman. Now you can go out and get her book. It's been out for 6 months, under a year, but it's Across the Aisle, Why Bipartisanship Works for America. You can get that anywhere you buy your books, probably. I don't know.
Yeah,
maybe thrifts. I don't know. Most likely. But our guest tonight is Bill Smythe. Bill is the just tell everyone.
Managing member of Smythe Lobby Group.
There we go.
Yeah, that means I am the sole boss employee, okay?
You know, I'm the president of Indiana Talks, but
you can name anything, just ask Diego.
then we also have former state representative and Democrat candidate for lieutenant governor, Terry Goodin. Terry, you guys flooded down there?
We are flooded down here everywhere on the bottom ground. So, but it could be a lot worse. So we're going to count our blessings and say it's not too bad, even though it is. So,
now, are you affected personally?
I am not affected personally. The only impact it would have on me is if I decide to go somewhere and I have to drive through the bottoms to get to the interstate or somewhere like that. But no, I'm not affected personally. Now, you know what? Some folks are saying this, Gary and Bill. They're saying that this terrible weather we've been having, not just in Indiana, but across the entire United States, is the wrath of God because we voted for Donald Trump. So, maybe it is. We'll hope not, but we know that God has a very wonderful sense of humor, and that could be the case.
I've personally tried to keep him out of my politics for that very reason, because whose side's he on?
Right.
I don't know. Well, you wonder sometimes.
Well, I say that often about most of life, though. Okay, Gary, it's not just politics. So.
Well, yeah, I mean, so. But hey, we wanted to bring you guys on tonight. Quite a bit happening. We wanted to start with tariffs, but then they came out with a property tax bill, and Victoria Spartz is up to her shit again. And that's one of the reasons we got Bill on, because she is your congresswoman.
Yes.
So, yeah. But let's start with tariffs, because you saw what happened in the market today. The market up 2,900 points, MAGA running around saying Trump is right, Trump is right, Trump is right. And I'm like, have you not been paying attention? The guy went out and started a tariff war. The stock market plunges. He gets cold feet when the bond market tanks, and pulls the tariffs on most nations except China. He still wants us to have $3,000 iPhones. And so here we are. The market had a nice day, got back just a fraction of what it lost. But, these tariffs that he is dead set on putting on China and Canada, I think Canada is still in effect. I think Mexico is still in effect. It's going to affect Hoosier families, Hoosier businesses, Hoosier farmers. And since Terry's a farmer, we thought you even got his John Deere green hat on tonight. He's playing the part. So Terry, if these stay in effect, if these tariffs stay in effect, how does this affect you as the Hoosier farmer?
Well, as we all know, America exports a tremendous amount of agricultural products, including the product that I raise on my farm, beef. We are known worldwide for our excellent beef products. So already the price of cattle are starting to come backwards now, because those Asian countries that bought a lot of American beef are saying, hey, we're not going to buy your beef anymore. So what's happening is it's when Trump threw these tariffs on, he thought he was going to bully folks, and he thought they'd just roll over and come to the table. Guess what? They called his bluff. And now they're saying, we're not going to roll over. We're not going to accept these tariffs. We're going to put tariffs on you. Well, now he's kind of like he let his thumb slip through the toilet paper and got his finger stuck in the pile of you know what,
I hate when that happens.
I hate when that happens, but that's exactly what he did. And unfortunately, the American public is going to have to pay for that. And and we'll get into this as we go through the podcast, Gary. But there's a huge geopolitical issue that's being played out here as well as with our allies. I mean, some of these folks that we've been trying to woo over the past with certain tariffs on this and not on that. All of that's come into play now, and we're going to look at whether or not we've still got our traditional allies as we move forward in the world. So some folks say we don't need them, but I'm telling you right now, we do need them. It can't be America versus the world. So
And
as we move forward,
I
as
don't
we
know
move,
that Bill has to deal with this because he's a city folk.
Right.
But us out here in the sticks or BFE, however you want to put it, we have septic tanks. So we have to use that thin toilet paper.
oh my, I can tell already that's going to be.
I think I have one of those Biden toilets though, because it only, flushes a little amount. Okay.
Right. Right. You know, what better topic to talk about though than toilet paper, which has the price of toilet paper has gone up tremendously. And to clean up a mess like Donald Trump, what better to use than toilet paper, Just make sure you don't get the thin stuff, Gary, because we can actually flush him down the sewer.
Yeah.
But they tell you, I mean, when they come and do your septic tank every you got to get Angel Soft. You can't use the Kirkland brand.
Charmin. You can't use that good
Can't use it.
Right. Oops.
So yeah, I know I feel that analogy because, we have a septic tank and we have to buy the thin stuff.
Well, Gary, as we talk about that and the thin stuff, but here's really, as we're looking at what these tariffs, the impacts they have, is the fact that over the last, I don't know, 2.5, 3 weeks, I think the American Stock Exchange has lost over $5 trillion in value. Now, that's the value of working men and women across America. And Trump was saying, oh, no, we've not lost that much. But I tell you what we do. We get $2 billion a day in tariffs. That's a lie. We get $200 million in tariffs a day. And we would take 20 some plus years, I haven't done the math, to catch up with the 5 trillion that we've lost in the stock market, even if we got $1 billion in tariff money a day, which we don't even get close. So as we talk about that, it's on hard-working Americans that this is going to slap people in the face. And when folks are ready to retire and they look at the retirement accounts and they see that, oh my God, it's down 40%, 50%, they're going to have to work an extra year or two as we move forward. And that's not a good thing. And let me say this as we talk about this. There's a big game in here that he's playing. Number one is when stocks get low, that creates huge buying opportunities for the ultra rich. The ultra rich shifts their money into gold and silver. They shift it into precious metals, which stays steady in cost and price, or goes up just a little. When the stock market rebounds and starts moving back up, they jump out of those precious metals back into stocks, and they ride that rise all the way up. And what Donald Trump has right now, he's got a true dislike for Jerome Powell and the Fed. He wants them to lower interest rates because he knows that that's the only way to get the economy moving on real estate, which is what he does, is commercial real estate. He knows that lower interest rates is the only way to get the economy moving in real estate. So I threw a lot in there, and we can dissect that as time goes on. But you watch how this plays out.
I would tend to agree.
Speaking of hardworking Americans, let's go to Bill Smythe.
I would tend to agree that he's manipulating the market, and that's, I think, troublesome given all the other stuff they've been throwing on the wall since he started. This now becomes a crime right out in the open. So I'm going to tank the market, and then I'm going to tell everybody to buy while the market's down. And then 3 hours later, I'm going to announce that I'm backing up all my tariffs on something, and the market rebounds, and everybody that bought. Yeah, that's troublesome.
It is troublesome.
Setting aside the stupidity of the entire start of the fight to begin with, he solved the problem that didn't exist by creating another one.
Here's what I'm interested in seeing, because, senators, politicians have to fill out these financial disclosures, especially when they buy stocks and bonds, which they should be not allowed to do.
Agreed.
While you are serving in a federal office, you should not be allowed to buy stocks. You should not be allowed to buy individual stocks. That goes for Nancy Pelosi all the way down to Jim Banks.
Yes,
absolutely.
But it's going to be interesting to see who shorted the market just before. We know Marjorie Taylor Greene did.
Absolutely.
I mean, that's out there.
Somebody had to tell her, because she isn't smart enough to figure that out.
No. So it's going to be interesting to see who shorted the market before the tariffs went into effect, and maybe who got rid of those short positions and went long maybe yesterday or today.
Right.
It's going to be
Early this
interesting.
morning.
You're right. And really it's sad because it is market manipulation, and
Yes.
we can't give any kind of investment advice on here, and I wouldn't want to. But well, I'll tell you what, this has got a lot of folks that are a little bit shaky kneed on this stock market because is this increase we had just this temporary, small, minuscule increase? Is that a omen of, okay, look, these are just people profit taking, getting out and selling more? So we just have to be careful when we push that through the markets. But it's too bad because hardworking Americans, as we said before, $5 trillion are disappeared now, and that came out of working people's pockets. And as we move forward, we got to figure out how do we replace that by better economic policies. And I'm going to say this, and I'm a teacher by trade, a former school superintendent, and I taught economics to seniors. And what we did is we taught people how the international market worked. Donald Trump would have flunked my class. And, I don't think he'd have taken any kind of international economic policies. And when Larry Kudlow stands up, who is a tied and dyed red man from his heels to the top of his head and supported Donald Trump, says that Donald's not doing the right thing here, then you know that you're going down the wrong path. And we can accomplish what they're trying to accomplish in a whole different way. And unfortunately, us folk out here in the hinterlands, we're going to pay for it with these
I'm
tariffs.
not sure they know what they want to accomplish. I don't mean to challenge you, but the whole theory, they're trying to do three things simultaneously, and they don't work under this concept of tariffs. So you can't raise the cost of our living and reduce inflation, and you can't put tariffs on, which causes a disproportionate market reaction, right? We get blocked, they get blocked. So, and then at the same time, think that there's somehow that's how you're going to minimize the trade deficit. See, so there's like there's like three. They don't know what they want, so they're mixing all of them together, which won't get accomplished.
It's not going to get that
To me,
accomplished.
it's always special when you have billionaires up there telling people out there that are working class people that might have a little in their 401k, a little bit saved, to suck it up, buttercup.
Yeah.
Right.
That's
Right.
exactly right. I mean, that's almost as bad as saying foreign leaders are calling kissing your ass from the
Right.
White House. I
Right.
mean, wait a minute. You wouldn't.
Right. Well,
He
it
wouldn't
is
do
too
that.
bad as we talk about this and we move forward, and then we would hope that folks in his party would step up. But man, they've all ran with their tails tucked, and they're all hiding, so they're scared to death of the guy. So
8
he's
years now, man, I've been
yeah.
saying, when will my party stop this madness? To the point where it's not my party anymore, and there's no one there to stop the madness.
Right. Let's talk about the tariffs, Gary, and the agricultural products. What's going to happen is our products are going to become so high because of these tariffs. They're going to go to other countries and buy those agricultural products, and we're going to lose those markets as we move forward. And that's the real big long-term issue with agricultural products is you just don't turn on a dime. It takes years to be able to guarantee and promote agricultural products to get to the market and where they need to be. And he's crushing all that overnight, basically.
The government gave $28 million to farmers last time he did this. It didn't freaking work the last time. There is no reason to think it's going to work this time.
Right.
To me, Trump's greatest accomplishment was convincing average people that a billionaire cares about what happens to him.
A guy that's bankrupted 4 casinos, which is almost humanly impossible. Okay.
Yeah.
I mean,
we were talking off camera, FanDuel's taking my money.
Yeah. It's almost humanly
How do you bankrupt a casino?
Bankrupt the casino. Okay.
Wow.
I mean, you got to give me some odds on not just one. Okay.
Right. Well, unfortunately, the world has become a lot smaller place. Well, I say unfortunately, but whether it's fortunate or unfortunate. So the type of diplomacy that is used today can't be the same diplomacy that was used even 15 or 20 years ago. We have to deal with these emerging nations now with a different attitude and a different outlook. As we talk about, these folks bring in tremendous economic opportunity for the United States. And what we're doing is we're squishing these folks. And we talk about the BRICS companies, Brazil, Russia, India, China. those folks, you wait and see. The BRICS nations, that list of countries is going to grow because they're out recruiting these people that we're pissing off, and they're recruiting those people into those trade agreements, and they're going to get them locked in, and they're not going to be able to get out once they get rolling down the road because it's going to be too expensive to do that. So it's just too bad, man. It's just too bad, and I hate it. I hate it for America.
Yes.
Well, anything else on tariffs before we move on to property taxes?
Oh yeah, well let me say no. We've hit that one pretty hard. I don't think there's anybody that can tell you that tariffs work other than Donald Trump. And so as we move forward, we talk about a gentleman you had on your show the other night, Gary, which was a very good show, Michael Hicks, and he talked about bringing jobs back to America. And what he pointed out is the majority of American jobs were lost to innovation,
Automation,
and mechanization, not human effort. So we got to look at this and say, okay, do we really want to build those widgets for two pennies and charge people $15, or can we just buy those from somebody else? And let's do what we need to do on the technology side, because technology is the future, guys. And if when I was in college, one of my professors wrote on his chalkboard, he wrote MS, and he says, if you all don't do anything before you graduate, look up this company and buy their stock. Of course, I didn't do it because, well, where would I get the money to begin with, But I wish I would have, because he was right. Because if you remember at that time, those folks were saying, oh, I'm not going to get a cell phone. I don't need a cell phone. I got my house phone. Next thing you know, house phones are pretty much extinct, right? My kid don't even know what a house phone is. So all of that stuff, as we talk about the future and what the future is going to look like, Americans need to be involved in creating that and manufacturing that and building that, not depend on somebody else. And that's where we really need to be focused on our economic development. Sorry, Gary.
No. So
podcast here, man.
we'll just let you host next time, Terry.
yeah.
Oh, I can do that. Big shoes to fill, Gary Snyder. And I'm still disappointed Pepper's not been on here.
She was on the other day.
Yeah.
She has built up a lot of PTO days, and she's using one now. So
right.
Well, it looks like they have come to some kind of agreement at the down at the State House on property taxes. It looks like that if you own a home, you're going to get some kind of relief. The larger, the more your home is worth, the larger your property tax relief is going to be. I think up to $300. But what really is going to suffer now are schools and local municipalities, and someone has got to make up for that property tax cut, and my guess is it's going to end up being people that can least afford it.
You're right. Bill, if you want to jump in there, I know you've been following pretty closely.
Just the general concept of who gets screwed, that's a constant. So I don't know that you need to expand. I mean, to be fair, I did not know they passed it, and I certainly don't know.
I don't think they've passed it yet, but I think they've come to some kind of agreement late today.
All right, because the last I read on it, because I'm not there yet, but the last I read was that Braun didn't like what was coming to him, and his choice was to veto or pocket veto. Mm-hmm. So that inferred that he wasn't going to like what they got. I didn't know how much that's good or bad from your perspective. So they are not solving the problem as far as I'm concerned. It's the assessments that are killing me.
Yeah.
They have gone 20% in the last 3 years. And so the rate on the tax is equal to the assessment value, and that is running through the roof. Now, especially as we get older, we need to be capping some of that stuff at some point, because our incomes don't raise 20% to offset for that. Okay.
We bought our house 7.5 years ago. Our assessment has doubled in that 7.5 years. Well, our house payment, has went from $900 to $1,200, up $300 in that amount of time.
Well, again, so the whole point is that we're artificially creating value, and then the tax rate's a tag to the value. And so the municipalities aren't out there currently asking for more. Give me another 20% or 18 or 17. If you look what they're getting, they're not asking for that, but they'll sure as hell take whatever is given to them when it comes back their way. So now their budgets are predicated on an inflated number. And so if the property tax comes across in any kind of negative cash flow, they're screwed. We're hosed. And you're absolutely correct. Where are they going to come for that money?
Well, it's
Straight,
ridiculous.
straight
It's
at
going to
us.
be income tax is where it's going to
Well,
be,
it,
and that because these communities have to be able to provide these services. And we talked about this when we was on the campaign trail. You cannot cut your way out of a property tax
that's
crisis.
correct.
You have to grow your way out of a property tax crisis. And we keep focusing on the issue of property taxes. We keep focusing on the blood that's dropping out of that instead of the wound itself. We've got to find an answer to the wound. And really what always amazed me, Bill and Gary, is the fact that the other side, every time we would talk about income tax and taxes, they always balked on against a progressive income tax and saying that the more you make, then the more you should pay. They always balk against that. They say, no, that's a penalty. Well, in return, then, how in the world can you suggest that the more your home, the higher value of your home is, the higher tax cut you get? That makes no sense. It's juxtaposed. You can't support it here and not support it there. As we move forward,
Unless you're a hypocrite.
well, yeah.
I'll take they are for 500, Alex. I mean, it's so.
Right. It's too bad, and they just keep focusing on just a quick Band-Aid fix because the real fix is going to be painful, and they don't want to do that, and it's just too bad. And as we move forward, unless something changes at the state house with the numbers that we have there, as far as having super majorities, it's going to continue to go down this lonely gravel road.
Well, that is a self-inflicted wound. The reason they have super majorities.
Yes.
And then they fixed you for fixing yourself.
Right.
And
Right.
now you're fixed.
Right.
And unfortunately, there's no solution till the next census.
Right.
I mean, it's very possible that there could be a groundswell come up in 26, and that certainly it might hit at the top level, federal level, our congresswoman, et cetera. But I don't know how much carries down to you guys if you can't put a candidate in every race everywhere and have a message.
Well,
I mean, if I was advising a Democrat running right now, I'd be running on impeach Trump. That'd be it. I would zip after that. And that'd be that's all I got. Okay. You want to know about tax policy? I don't know shit about taxes. Okay.
Right.
Let's keep in mind that everything that needs to be fixed now, whether it's our schools, whether it's teachers, whether it's our air, which we have some of the dirtiest in the nation, whether it's our water, childcare, you can go down the line. It's all been caused by the Republicans. They've been in a super majority for the last almost 20 years.
Correct.
That means you were in there, Terry, part of that.
Right.
That
absolutely.
means you can do nothing. Democrats, they can do anything. They can kick all the Democrats out of the General Assembly if they wanted.
Right.
They could expel them all.
Right. It's too bad.
And then they're going to come in and say, we're going to fix this broken system. Well, hell, you fucking broke it.
You're the ones that broke it. You're exactly right. And as I was out campaigning, it was amazing that saying, hey, you're going to raise property tax. I'm like, look, dude, the Democrats don't raise property tax. We're the ones that's been lowering them over the last 20 years, other than the fact that the other team that's on super majorities are the ones in power, and they're the ones raising them. We can fix this. We just got to grow ourselves out of it, and we can't cut our way out of it. It's such an idiotic statement. And I just get so disappointed in my former colleagues at the State House and what they try to accomplish. And it's amazing. As you look through that, you can tell who has the influence as all of this legislation kind of rolls through. And man, I tell you, if we can't stand up for our fellow Hoosiers and our the man and woman next door, then I don't know who we can stand up for. And right now, legislatures turn their backs on those.
And you can look down the line. I mean, you can name every incident that has happened, whether it's the hypocrisy in the purchasing the vehicles, whether it's property taxes, you name it. It hurts. And at a national level, it hurts the Trump voter.
Right.
The Trump voter are the ones right now that are looking at their 401k down 50%.
Right.
And
well,
keep in mind, you don't
ones that have them now.
Yeah.
Let's be careful. I mean, the trailer park toothless wonders are not worried about that. Okay.
Oh my.
I'm sorry I didn't mention my relatives.
Well, I was just talking about me, but it's like, hey, it's okay because, really, you're right. As we focus on that and the stock market has been the focus, but really Bill and Gary, as we talked earlier, the tariffs have a much broader impact than just the stock market. It has an impact on prices. I mean, so day one, the price of eggs was supposed to come down. I think they've probably almost doubled now since the election day. All of that, all those promises are fading in the wind. The Ukraine war would be over with in 24 hours. And now he's saying that Putin has been a bad boy, and he's a little angry at him. Oh, okay. Well, do something about it then. You want to punish our allies by slapping them with tariffs, but you don't do anything with Russia, who's waged an all-out war on democracy.
Well, that's because it's almost as if he's doing this stuff on purpose. I mean, I could sit here and say, okay, what could Trump do to destroy America? And you could list a number of things, and almost everything that he's done would be on that list.
Agreed.
Period.
Right. And then you would have to say, but why would he want to do that? And then that would go back to probably Russia and or Putin has something that helps him.
It's more than a P tape.
Yeah, agreed. Right. Wherever we are. Okay.
Right.
So, I mean, at some point, this becomes so pathetically obvious that how did we possibly reelect him?
Well, it's
here's right, have a meltdown. Give me a moment.
Well, Bill, here's the deal. It's like, and you mentioned the folks in trailer park or whatever, but those folks, the individuals that for whatever reason are at a lower income level, they're the ones, as Gary pointed out, they're the ones that his policies are impacting the most negative.
It's crushing them. It's going to crush them.
They're going to cut their medical. They're going to do all this, and it's just rolling down into the state level with our leaders. Jim Banks is a quack. You saw what he did when he got on. He's a quack. Too bad. How about electing some leaders that's going to stand up for Indiana and America? We've got to wake up in Indiana. We cannot continue down this path to Mississippi, which I don't know. Some folks claim we're already there, but we cannot continue the path toward Mississippi. As we all said, Indiana's the middle finger of the South. And we've got to figure out a way, how do we overcome that image, and how do we give people great jobs, and how do we give people an opportunity to buy a house and live in a home that's comfortable, that they can raise their families in?
Well, guys, we did not get to Victoria Sparks,
Darn
a.k.a. Natasha.
Darn it.
Some people don't know what I'm talking about, but if you've never seen Bullwinkle, you will not know what I'm talking about.
Right.
So
there's an age, you got to have there's an age demographic to that joke, okay?
And I think we're all about the same. I'm about 50.
I'm waiting for retirement before they fuck me with Social Security, okay?
So you guys are way older. I'm only 34.
Yeah, see, that was why you needed the hat.
Well, I'll just say this. I'm in between Gary and you, so.
Yeah.
Well, we'll start with Bill. Anything else that you wanted to get off your chest before we let you go?
Other than go Cubbies. I mean, that's really the great start. I don't want to take a political thing and turn it into something nasty, but go Cubs. And the Pacers are off the charts too. And I know you're a big sports fan, Gary. So
yeah. And we're going to have an opportunity to go watch them in the playoffs and have my son play the national anthem.
Yeah. Well, let me say this. If you wish to do another podcast and talk sports, call me for sure.
We are where sports, politics, and pop culture collide. So
okay.
And Terry's got his Topps baseball on. So
there you go.
Exactly. How much pop culture could you have, man, than Topps baseball cards, right?
Well, you could have like a hot dog that was dripped on it, but yes, I agree.
We did not have a lot of money growing up. And my mom was a waitress at a local bar and a hotel in Kokomo back in the late 70s, or mid 70s, early 70s. And she would take her tips, and each night she would stop at the convenience store and buy us Topps football cards. And we had about 10,000 of them between me and my brothers. And one of my brothers sold them one day for like $20. And it would almost be worth it to see what those are worth today.
Right.
Yeah.
Terry, anything else you wanted to cover?
You know what I do? I want to let folks know we've got to continue to move forward. We got to be positive. We talk, we bring up a lot of negativity, but we've got to make sure that we fight bad with good. We can't fight bad with bad. We've got to make sure we stay on the high road. We got to make sure that being on the high road means that you fight hard. It doesn't mean that you give up. And we got to make sure we continue to do that. Gary, you continue every single day to put out good information, and especially with your podcast, people come on, they enjoy it, they have a good time. You've got listeners that are really enjoying that. I've heard people talk about it.
25,000 listeners last month.
There you go.
Man, that's awesome.
Watch out, Joe Rogan.
It's going to
Telling you.
continue to grow, man. It's going to continue to grow. And as it does, I'm going to say this. I know that Gary Snyder guy, and all my kids go, no, you don't know who that is. Yeah, I swear I know Gary Snyder. So I'm going to go ahead and get my autograph now, Bill, from Gary before he decides he's going to start charging.
You know, that's probably a good idea. Okay. It'll
Yeah.
probably be on a bad check though.
You know, I had to get my passport. I've never had a passport before. And before I got my British passport, I had to get my US passport, and I had to write a check to the State Department. And I'm like, Pepper,
how do you do this?
do we have checks?
I still have to write quarterly tax checks for my business.
Well, before we go, we need to thank our sponsors again. That would be Robin Winston. He has been there from the start on both the newsletter, which goes out to 100,000 plus subscribers, and also Jill Long Thompson, former Congresswoman. Also, there is a button somewhere down here. It'll say subscribe. Subscribe to our YouTube channel. That way you get all the updates when we put out a new podcast or a new short. And other than that, he is Terry Goodin. I'm Gary Snyder. He's Bill Smythe. This is the Snide Report podcast, and we are out.